if it was just a teaser and we're not going to get more follow-up sooner rather than later, I'm probably not going to be feeling Kyle and Nicole as much. You know, everyone wants to say Shanice can do better. Well, I think Kyle can maybe do better than boring Nicole. Maybe boring Nicole does deserve boring Carlton. Hello, fellow Beyond the Gates fans. I am back to talk about the show. Today's Thursday, January 22nd episode. Another good episode. Honestly, this week, Beyond the Gates is feeding us. Finally, we are being fed good storylines because for the past 3 months, really since sometime in October to me, it's been feeling like a famine from this show. I've been starving for better writing, for better storylines. And this week, they've decided to start new storylines. And I think most importantly, storylines are moving this week, which is a new thing for the show as of late. So I am very happy this week. I have really no complaints with today's episode. I don't even know where to begin because I kind of liked a little bit of everything. I think I'm going to start with the fact that Lynette was back today. I mean, she only had a couple scenes, but it was good to see her pretty little face on today's episode, talking to Hayley, complaining about how she can't afford the bill. She can't afford Bill and Tomas to represent her as her lawyer. The lawyer fees are getting too high already. So Hayley comes up with some plan to try and talk to Bill to make her case pro bono. So I'm just glad Lynette is back. Tomas and Hayley later met up as well to discuss Bill working and whatnot. And then Hayley also talked to Randy about how Lynette was crying her a river about how she can't pay the legal bill. Randy tried to tell Hayley she needs to handle the situation so that Lynette doesn't blow their cover. So Lynette's back and she's already making Hayley have to do more work in her scheme to kill Bill and to get Bill's money. So that was good. Where yesterday's episode left off is we had Nicole and Carlton running into Ted and Shanice at the country club, and Shanice and Ted were very happy to be on this date, and I think Nicole wasn't as happy as she was trying to portray herself to be to them. And then she kept making comments to Carlton about how she's looking forward to after dessert. Shanice was also kind of feeling like Cinderella, as she said, realizing that Ted might be her Prince Charming, but he's a Prince Charming going through a divorce, and she might be the rebound, and she will have to go back to her pumpkins. Ted was saying he's the one that feels like Cinderella because Shanice makes his days brighter. I think Ted and Shanice are compatible the more they are together. I know a lot of people think Shanice can do better than Ted, and probably so, because Ted can be quite the fool and the clown around these parts lately. But I think today showed, at least to me, that Ted and Nicole were never really compatible. And I know there's a few people in the comments from time to time that say Ted and Nicole deserve to get back together. But I don't think they do. I think they are not compatible. I think Nicole has always been kind of a stick in the mud. And I think that Ted likes a more freer person like Shanice. Kind of like Leslie. Shanice is like the refined, not criminal version of Leslie. And I think that is what Ted has actually always wanted in comparison to Nicole. That's the way I feel. I've also seen a lot of fans saying that if people are upset with Carlton for being Ted's friend and then getting with Nicole, shouldn't people be upset with Shanice because her and Nicole are kind of friends and I guess colleagues more so? But and now Shanice is with Ted, and I don't think it's the same because, as we've been told, Ted and Carlton were friends for a long time. They even started a business together, the best of friends. Whereas Shanice and Nicole, they're close at work, but they're like work buddies. And so I don't feel that passionately about that. And it kind of goes both ways to me. Like, Nicole is dating Carlton, who was Ted's best friend for a long time. That's not a good thing either. So even if it's Nicole being petty because of what Ted did to their marriage, it's still not great for Nicole. So I'm not going to shame Shanice for trying to, get her man, get her Prince Charming right now. That is Ted. Anyway, both of these couples, of course, got sexual by the end. Nicole was feeling some kind of way, though, seeing Shanice and Ted together. Carlton even said that Nicole was quiet on their ride home together, and when they got to the house, Nicole immediately started drinking some alcohol. Nicole said she realized that she hasn't been with anyone but Ted for decades, and Carlton didn't want to rush it. That was a good point by Nicole, though. She had been loyal to Ted, unlike the other way around, and that is the only man she has slept with since then. And so being with a new person for so long, of course Nicole's gonna feel some kind of way, and I don't blame her. It's too bad it had to be boring old Carlton to be the man she sleeps with after decades. I will say they went for it in their intimate scenes together today. I didn't mind Carlton and Nicole's intimate scenes. It was a lot better than any other scenes with them talking. So they had that going for them today. I'm not even going to complain about Nicole and Carlton today. I mean, I do still find them boring. And I will say, if they continue to shove Carlton and Nicole down our throats, it's definitely going to make me change my mind about wanting the Nicole and Kyle storyline. It will be similar to how I felt about when they teased a Shanice and Derek pairing. If it was just a teaser and we're not going to get more follow-up sooner rather than later, I'm probably not going to be feeling Kyle and Nicole as much. You know, everyone wants to say Shanice can do better. Well, I think Kyle can maybe do better than boring Nicole. Maybe boring Nicole does deserve boring Carlton. Nicole's sister was making mistakes today. I mean, she started the episode with Chelsea and Kat on a live for Chelsea and Kat's brand. Dani was on the live to also pimp their brand. And then when Kat started talking about how she's not able to hang out with Tomas today because he's at work late, because Bill is also at work late, and Tomas is trying to become partner, Dani headed over to the office to talk to Bill. Before that, Bill was with Tomas. They were going over Lynette's case, and Bill was kind of uncertain of Tomas's arguments that Lynette was a great employee, and maybe that could be something they can give in the case about why she's not guilty, I guess. Bill was warning Tomas not to take Kat for granted. Maybe this is Bill still feeling some kind of way about losing Dani, but it was more than that from Bill. Bill lost Dani because he was a cheater, period. We've been told that Bill cheated multiple times before leaving Dani for Hayley. It wasn't just Hayley. So Bill giving Tomas advice, Tomas should just take it all with a grain of salt. But anyway, Dani came over and she wanted to celebrate their daughter's good news. They chatted about Dani's cancer gene. Bill had some comment about how cancer should be afraid of Dani's crazy ass. They then discussed that if Dani gets cancer, would Andre leave Dani? For some reason, Dani is back to thinking her relationship with Andre is just totally physical, even though they've come a long way since then. So I don't know why Dani was talking about all this today, but she was saying that how she thinks that Andre wouldn't leave her, but that the desire he has for her would be replaced by pity. And Bill hyped her up, saying nothing will dim Dani's light, and that made Dani kiss Bill. Now, at least it was just another kiss. With the spoilers, I was thinking they might go further. This is like the third time these two have kissed since Bill was married to Hayley. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the second time they've kissed since Dani married Andre. So they like to do this. They like to find their way back to each other and reminisce on the past. And Dani always finds herself wanting to kiss Bill, or vice versa. Bill finds himself wanting to kiss Dani. Today, it was Dani's fault. And Dani's one of my favorites, but I'm not a stan, unlike a lot of people who stand for Kat, who get talked shit about because they like to think Kat can do no wrong. Dani did wrong today. Dani was in the wrong, and I don't know when Andre will find out about this, but I hope it is sooner rather than later, because I think Andre deserves to get some licks in on Dani. Andre warned Bill about Dani, but it seems like Andre needs to start talking to his wife about Bill. I think Andre needs to put his foot down about what he thinks about the Dani and Bill relationship. We'll see if that happens in the future. I think it should. I guess the big thing here is that Tomas was looking in on them together. And Bill saw that Tomas saw what they were doing, and Tomas walked away, even though Bill was telling Dani this will stay between them. But now Tomas sees that, and we're going to see what Bill does with Tomas. Maybe Tomas can use this information to become a partner. Maybe they will actually make Tomas interesting. I mean, they're going to try, but they've been trying for a year, and the problem is it will probably fall flat because of the actor that plays Tomas will have no emotions in these scenes, and the scenes will fall flat, but at least the character of Tomas has a reason for some drama right now by seeing Dani and Bill together. Elsewhere today, there was a lot today. There's a lot to cover. We did see more about Chelsea and Madison having problems. Chelsea told Kat that her dealer from her modeling days they ran into him, and she told Kat about Madison being upset about the drugs. I'm not as into that story as I want to be. They need to actually try to write Chelsea and Madison's stories on screen. If they start doing that with this story, I'll feel differently. Elon visited Joey today to talk about the blood plasma market. I guess this is what Jacob is going to be going undercover for. Elon is worried that Joey was involved with this, and he's worried for both Joey and Jacob if Joey is. Joey says he's not involved with this. Elon gets what little information out of Joey that Joey knows on what's going on with the blood plasma black market. Joey gave some info about this guy named the Impaler or something, or that's his nickname, who Joey has never met, but that Elon needs to warn Jacob to not underestimate this guy. And then Jacob and Smitty met up. Some of you in the comments yesterday talked about how Smitty was probably the informant, and he was. Smitty wants to help Jacob with this case as Jacob goes undercover. Jacob was worried about that because it's in police review. He doesn't want too much information to go public so that it doesn't ruin the case. So Jacob was pushing against Smitty being a part of this investigation. Smitty was saying that they made a good team with the Kenny stuff, which they kind of did. So I think the show was smart in putting these two in the same story together. I think it does make both characters have higher stakes, and they do kind of work good together. Smitty kind of threatened to do his own investigation, but Jacob kind of gave in that he'll partner with Smitty on this as long as no information goes public until Jacob wants it to go public. So we're pushing this Jacob undercover stuff. Even Elon was involved with that today. Now Smitty. So that's building up quickly, and I'm glad to see it. I think Jacob needed a new story, and frankly, so did Smitty. So it's good for both of those characters. No complaints there. Lastly, Vanessa was confronted by that Lance guy who's upset that Vanessa is ruining his marriage because of the escort service. Lance was saying he loves his wife and won't lose her. Vanessa was trying to tell him that some relationships need a companion. Lance called Vanessa out to her face about Vanessa spicing up her marriage, leading Doug to drink into an early grave. He was demanding that Vanessa needs to turn his wife down when she comes looking for her next escort, but Vanessa refused, so he got rough with Vanessa, grabbed her by the arm after she started blaming his bedroom skills as to why his wife is stepping out on him. Randy came to Vanessa's aid and had the guy scared to walk away from the situation. Randy told Vanessa that Doug would have wanted him to look out for Vanessa, and then Randy immediately informed Joey about what happened. So Joey is taking this personal with what Lance did. I mean, they can't have Joey go too far, because if they keep having Joey kill people At some point, sooner rather than later, Joey needs to have a downfall. And I don't think head writer Marcel Valjean is ready for Joey's downfall yet. So I hope they don't continue to write Joey into a corner, because he's already one note and he's already sometimes not working as a character because they stick him with Vanessa too much. If I had to say there was a weak point to today's episode, it was still the failed character that was Vanessa. I liked her scenes with Lance, but when Joey questioned Vanessa, when we had Joey and Vanessa scenes again, and she was being stubborn and not telling Joey about what happened, and when she realized that Randy told Joey, she was downplaying the intensity, she was saying she had it under control. They just write Vanessa as too delusional to enjoy sometimes. She's been so delusional about this Joey story and becoming like grandpa gangster and wanting to be involved in all of Joey's things. And I just don't think it's been well written. I don't think Vanessa has been well written since Doug died. And I will continue to feel that way. So I guess if there was a weakness today, I would still say it was Vanessa, even though I did enjoy the scenes with Lance. And even though I do enjoy the fact that Vanessa's storyline with this escort service is finally moving. Overall, today was still good, though. It's been a great week for this show. The best week in a very long time. I have been enjoying myself. I'm glad to see stories moving. Characters are doing things that are going to cause more drama, like Dani kissing Bill and Tomas seeing Smitty and Jacob doing undercover work for some criminal activity. And, Ted got some with Shanice. They ended up doing some love making by the end of the episode, as did Carlton and Nicole. I prefer Ted and Shanice of those two couples, though. But it's not a hard choice when Nicole and Carlton are so boring together. But they tried to make their intimate scenes as hot as possible today, so I gave them credit there. But yeah, I'm enjoying this week. I hope the rest of y'all are too.